everyone. My name is Danielle Durr. I am the branch manager at the Watson branch of the Livingston Parish Library, and I am very excited for our book talks to be coming back this summer. So, this is our very first book talk this summer, and I am super excited today to get to chat with a very special guest. So, but honestly, like, when am I not excited to talk about books and chat with people about books? But anyways, today I am talking with a local library legend, the 2021 School Library Journal School Librarian of the Year from Live Oak Middle School, Miss Amanda Jones.
Hello, everybody.
Yay!
Like Danielle said, I'm the librarian at Live Oak Middle School. I've been here for 20 years at Live Oak Middle School.
That's amazing. Okay, so if you don't know what School Library Journal is, or SLJ for people in the know, it's kind of a big deal. So to win the School Library Journal School Librarian of the Year award is a huge honor, and it basically chooses librarians from the entire nation, correct? Like
Yes.
the whole country. So, Amanda, how does it feel to be School Library Journal School Librarian of the Year for the entire country? How does that feel?
Um, it's very overwhelming.
Yeah, I could imagine.
And it's very humbling because I know some really good librarians out there. And so I never dreamed in a million years that I would get this award, but I'll take it. And
Right.
yeah, I'll take it. And it's really cool because the one of the parts of this award is that next year every one of my students will get a free book from Scholastic.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
so it has some perks.
Yeah, okay. So that's good. Like it's not just like, oh yeah, you're great. Here there's some perks and there's some extra fun things. Okay,
Yes.
cool. Okay, so I know you've won other awards or have some other accolades like under your belt. So can you tell us about some of those other accomplishments that you've had recently?
Let's see. So I I was the 2020 Louisiana School Librarian of the Year. Then our library also won the 2019 James O. Modisette Award from the Louisiana Library Association for top middle school library programming,
Wow.
and which my friend Laura Foy at Denham Junior got it last year. So they've
Oh,
won it as
good.
well. And then an announcement coming soon is that I'm going to be one of the 2021 Library Journal, not School Library Journal, but Library Journal movers and shakers.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Which
I've heard
that's a
of
big
that.
deal too.
Yes,
So
yes, yeah. And that's like just libraries in general, public libraries, school libraries, that's like even more librarians.
everybody, and
Yeah.
there's usually not a lot of school librarians. It's usually mostly professors, academic and public librarians.
Yeah.
So I'm very honored.
That's amazing. Yeah, so this isn't your first like award. Like this ain't your first rodeo. You've been around and have some other stuff. Gotcha. Well, how does one get selected like for the school library journey, or like how do you get on their radar?
There's two ways. So you can submit an application, and you can also be nominated. And so I did both. Like they won't tell me who nominated me, but I had several nominations. But I also submitted an application, and I started doing that 3 years ago, never thinking like that I would never like ever win. But I love the Wayne Gretzky quote that says, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." So I decided, well, I'm going to apply every year till I'll retire, and I'll never get it, but I can say I tried.
Hey, you tried. You went for it.
I tried and I went for it. And then this year, and then when the editor of School Library Journal called me, I was very surprised because it was kind of just something I was just going to do every year just to say I did it.
Yeah.
But she did say I had several nominations, and one was by a parent. And so
Wow.
that's pretty cool too.
That feels good, right? Yeah.
It does.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And especially like a few years ago is when you started getting some of your awards and some of your achievements. So you're like, okay, well let me, try this, and hey, it worked out. That's
It
amazing.
did.
Wow. Okay. So now that you're, an award-winning librarian with a lot of amazing accolades under your belt, what are you currently working towards, and what are like your plans for the future? Like, so now that you have all of this, what are some new things that you want to do?
Well, I do want to be on either the Newberry or Caldecott committee.
That's a big one.
That's a goal.
Yes.
But my main goal is to advocate for school libraries, not only in our district, but for our state. And so with receiving this latest award, I have been able to invite several legislators and our superintendent and assistant superintendent from Louisiana Department of Education to my library and talk to them and advocate and talk about libraries in Louisiana and the need for school librarians. And so we actually, what's become of this is that in the works, they have what's called the Teacher Leader Summit every year for teachers and teachers all over Louisiana. And I've pretty much talked them into us having a special day devoted for school librarians for professional development for next year. So just basic advocacy on funding and for school librarians is what I'm working on now.
Yeah, because a lot of people probably don't realize this, but every school does not have a school library.
Right.
I mean,
and we're
across the country. Like there might be
across the country, yeah. We're actually very fortunate in Livingston Parish that every school does have a certified school librarian. It's not the case in all of Louisiana, but I follow a lot of librarians on Twitter, and they're cutting library jobs all across the United States. Especially, I've been following DC right now. Is Washington DC? They're pretty much putting school librarians on the chopping block because of funding. So anything we can do to get the word out about school librarians, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Or they're making like librarians teach half of the time and, have library half of the time, but that's like 2 full-time jobs. So it's a lot because both being a school librarian and being a teacher is a lot in general, but trying to put those 2 together, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. No, that's doing 2 full-time jobs.
Yes.
It really is.
Yeah. So that's good that you're trying to like get the word out, get some advocacy. But I want to go back to the Newberry and the Caldecott. So if anybody doesn't know, Newberry is an award for like children's fiction writing, or well, I guess, is it all fiction? I think it's all fiction. I don't think that, I think they have a different nonfiction one. So it's fiction writing, and then the Caldecott is for the illustrators for children's picture books. So those are like some very, very like high up, very important children's literature awards. So to be on that committee would be really, really cool. Yeah.
And this is I'm on the Louisiana Young Readers Choice Awards committee for the 6th through 8th category.
Yeah, I'm on the Teen Readers Choice for 9 through 12. Yeah.
And it's given me some good experience, and I hope to apply next year, which would be for the 2024. You apply next year for the 2024 committee. But I have several friends that have served on both of the committees, and it's a lot of work, but I just think it would be an amazing opportunity to say I was on a Newberry or a Caldecott committee.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can say like, I chose this book out of all of the books of this year. This is the one I chose and I stand behind it. And it's so cool. That's really cool. Okay. So now that we all realize that you're like a total rock star librarian, what made you want to become a librarian? So I know like you were probably a teacher at one point, but what made you want to get into this profession?
So actually, I attended Southeastern, their education program, and I was in my 3rd year at Southeastern. And I was attending, you have to take so many children's lit classes as an elementary education major. And so I was in one of my classes, and Dr. Lori Percato was my professor, and she would read us a book every day before class. And around the same time, the Harry Potter books had just come out. Like there was the first 3 were out. And I read those books. She told us about them, and I read the books, and it just reignited that passion for reading that I had kind of lost through high school and college. Busy. And so I actually went that semester to the dean at Southeastern, and I asked permission to go ahead and take the graduate courses as an undergrad, so that I could graduate with my elementary education certification, but also with my school librarian certification. And so they did let me take all of the grad classes. I was the only undergrad in the grad classes, but it was important for me. I wanted to graduate with both at the same time. I mean, I might have done it different now that I know.
Yeah, like thinking back, you're like, that's a lot. Yeah.
And because my master's is in education, administration, and supervision, and it's not a master's in library science, So that means I can't work as a librarian at the public library when I retire. So
Mhm.
there's some regret there that I can always go back and get it. But there's a little regret that I didn't wait and get my master's in the library science and I got it in
Right.
education instead. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, you can always go back, especially since you have some of those like school librarian certification courses. Those can probably go into it, and you maybe can like And I think like so much of it is online now, especially after like COVID. Even if
it
you
is.
didn't have it, things will be online. Because I think I got my degree, everything was completely online. I didn't even go to the school like, at all. So
And the good thing, there is a plus about having your master's in administration and supervision, because I could eventually work at the school board or state level. I'm certified to do that if I chose to apply and they hired me.
yeah, I know.
I
Who
could
knows where
do
you're
that.
going? Like you're just like you're into the stratosphere. You could just be like running the whole thing. You never know.
I feel like I'm going to stay here at Live Oatmeal until I retire.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
love it
like,
here.
once you find your place and like you're like, I love it. This is my passion. Even if it's like, you could do like so many different things, but this is where I want to be.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, why change it? I get it. I get that. Okay, so you mentioned Harry Potter reignited your passion, which I think it did for a lot of people. Like, there's a whole Harry Potter generation that it like really like touched them and made them a reader or made them remember why they like to read. So have you always been a reader, or like how was your reader journey?
I'm sorry. Our
You're
school
cool.
bell.
We get it. We get it.
So I have always been a reader. I did kind of I got busy and during high school and college, and I kind of wasn't as big of a reader,
Yep.
but I've always been a reader. My mom always brought us to the Watson Library, which
Oh.
it's way better now, but it's grown a lot since it was like one little room when I was little.
Yeah.
But my mom would take us to the library every week. We'd participate in the summer reading program. She took us to the bookstore. We always bought books. I grew up reading Judy Blume, Beverly Cleary, Laura Ingalls Wilder. So I was always a reader. In high school, I did have one of the best school librarians, Dr. Shirley McDonald, was my high school librarian at Live Oak High School. And she showed me some books by, like Toni Morrison and Dr. Maya
Uh-huh.
Angelou and The Color Purple. And she introduced me to a whole different genre of books that I had never read before. Um, but I've pretty much always been a reader. I'm still a reader. I read several books a week. Um, so yeah, I've been a reader
That's
pretty
good.
much.
And it's so interesting. I love to ask people, especially like if they're in the field or like very much involved in libraries. I was the complete opposite. I was not a reader. I had books now looking back, like I had books that I really enjoyed, but I didn't know I liked to read until college. It was like, I think it was my first year of college. And I remember it was a James, like my friend, I had a psychology class with her, and she was like, read this James Patterson book, Violets Are Blue. So it was like about vampires, but not really about vampires. And I think this was like when Twilight was like a big thing. So she was like, yeah, do you want to read it? And I was like, I'll try it. And I was like sucked in. And I remember telling my mother, who always, she was a reader and she wanted me to read so much. And she thought I would be like good at writing. Like she always told me to write, which I was like, why is that a thing? That's weird. Which, funny story, I have a degree in creative writing. So thanks, mom. But she gave me this book, and I remember telling my mom, I read this book. It was about vampires. Technically, it wasn't, because it's like James Patterson. Like, and then she bought me Twilight. She's like, you like vampires? You like to read here. So then that like, I mean, I will have to say that like got me into it. So then all of a sudden, YA fiction like opened up this whole like world for me, and I had no idea. And then I was like, man, I wish I would have like known about this, and I could have like been reading my whole life. So I made up for a lot of like lost time. So it's so interesting how like some people start out young, they maybe lose it, they come back to it, they're always readers, or they maybe come in later. It's really interesting.
And I like to tell people if they're not readers, it's usually because they haven't found the right book.
I say that all the time because I am a product of that. I have nobody is not a reader. You just don't know what you like to read yet. I say it all the time because I was the exact same way. So
Mhm.
yeah. So you had like you mentioned your high school librarian. So you had these people or like things that kind of like discovered your love of reading or encouraged your love of reading throughout?
Always, there was always somebody in my life that nurtured that that love of reading. Um, and so I hope that that's what I do here at Live Oak Middle School.
Yeah, I think I've
You
because
know,
I've like seen your some of your kids, some of your like students, and I've seen the stuff you do, and I can like say as another professional, like yes, I'm pretty sure like it's working. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good that like you've had that experience and you can be that person for other people. Okay, so now on to um, I want to know some of your favorite books or favorite series like of all time. What are your all time favorites?
okay, all-time favorites. So I named my daughter after Jo March from Little Women,
I love that.
and so her name's Josephine, and so I love Little Women. Um, Harry Potter, I love Harry Potter. I get in weird phases.
Mm-hmm.
So I went through my Irish historical fiction phase. So
Amazing. Yes, I love
like
that.
2 years, all I read was Maeve Binchy, and um, right now I'm in kind of a YA. I went through a dystopian phase where I was reading like Divergent and Hunger Games
Oh,
and
I
all.
was big into Hunger Games. I went to the midnight showing. They don't do this anymore, but I went to the midnight showing dressed as Katniss, and they had at the movie theater like a Hunger Games, and I was like running around dodging stuff. Oh yeah, I was in that.
We actually went, my husband and I went to the midnight showing, and so many students were there. And my husband's like, how do you know all these people?
Well, and it's
But
like I feel like they don't do midnight showings anymore, do they? Or am I just like out of
I haven't
that loop?
seen any lately. I wish they would.
No, because it was, I feel like Harry Potter really made that. The midnight showing, people dressing up. Hunger Games was like on the tail end of that, but now they don't do it. And I feel like all these Marvel movies, we should just start dressing up and like going back to the midnight movie. That
Well,
would be
Dune is coming out. Dune is coming out as a movie. That would be a cool midnight
yeah,
showing.
yeah. I know I missed that. I missed that era of like fandom.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so you said you're like big in YA, but what's on your currently on your like middle grade YA like reading list right now? Like what are your reading or
I,
what are you like looking forward to?
well, I just started a book called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Boy by Emmanuel Echo. He did a really cool YouTube series
Mm,
um, over the summer. And I don't remember if he's a football player. I think he's a former football player or current. I'm not quite sure. And he did a YouTube series that was really cool. Then he wrote an adult book. So now it's the young readers version. So I just started that. Um, I really want to read Lion of Mars by Jennifer Holmes. She's a very popular middle
yeah,
grade author here. Um, I read anything Jason Reynolds, so
I
I'm
love
hoping
him.
he will come out with
I
some new
love him.
books
Yeah,
soon.
yeah. What was his
Um,
most recent one? I don't think I've read the most recent one.
he just he
Yeah,
just tweeted about it, and I read it, and
yeah.
I can't think about it. But and he's actually coming out with a picture book. I just saw that
Really?
he's coming out with a picture book pretty soon, so that's going to be cool. I really so what's the book? Flight of the Puffin by
Mhm.
Anne Braden is coming out, and this month in May, and it is phenomenal. So I read, she wrote a book called Benefits of Being an Octopus,
She's a
which is a book I
fantastic.
think every middle schooler and every middle school teacher or any educator should read. It was on our Louisiana Young Readers Choice Award list for this year. And so her second book, Flight of the Puffin, is out. And I think it's going to win all the awards next year. I'm already predicting that. Um,
Yeah, that's a
but
fantastic. A lot of like heavy topics for benefits of being an octopus, but that's a good book. So I'm excited to read.
And Flight of the Puffin is a little more light. It's a little lighter, but it's about kindness and the ripple effect of what a small act of kindness does. Um, Teaches
Yeah,
a really good lesson.
yeah, I'm excited
So
about
I'm
that.
really excited about that one.
Okay, I'm gonna put that on my to read list. Do you know when it comes out?
May 4th.
May 4th. Oh, so like tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna put
Yes.
that on my list for sure to read. So okay, so in your like school library right now at Live Oak Middle, what are some of the most popular or most requested books, authors, series by your students recently this past year?
So they are huge on graphic novels.
That's a big
which
one here.
a lot of people don't realize graphic novels on average have a higher vocabulary than the regular novel. And people think because it's illustrated, like it looks like a comic book, that it's not reading, or that is totally false. So I really encourage graphic novels. So graphic novels are huge. So anything by Raina Telgemeier, Guts,
Smile.
Drama, Smile, Sisters, those stay checked out. And I have 10 copies of each and they stay checked out. Nathan Hale's Hazardous Tales
I
are
like that.
wildly popular. Anything by Jason Reynolds is popular. They love Jerry Craft's New Kid, and then
Okay.
the sequel,
Yeah.
Class Act.
That one was a Newbery, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was the first book to ever win the Newbery Award, and it also, I can't remember if it was runner-up for Coretta Scott King or what, but it was.
Yeah,
got
it's a graphic novel, right?
graphic
Yeah,
novel,
it was the first graphic novel.
amazing. It's going to be made into a live-action movie in the next year or two.
Oh, good to know.
LeBron James is producing, so I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Okay, cool. Okay.
But always
Put that on the radar.
Dogman and Diary of a Wimpy Kids.
Always.
Dogman and Diary of a Wimpy Kids, stay checked out.
Yes, and that type of like hybrid, like Dogman, I think is a graphic novel, but the Diary of the Wimpy Kid, that like hybrid, like journal form, I don't know what it's called, honestly.
I don't either, but they love it.
But that's huge. That and like Dork Diaries.
Yes.
Yeah, that is like really, really popular, especially in middle grade. Yeah,
yes. I can't keep those on the shelf either. We have probably 15 copies of each.
Yeah, those are all good ones. So it's interesting. The same trends that are in your school library is the same trends that we see. That's interesting. Okay, so do you have any recommendations for any like upcoming new releases, like coming up, like let's say this summer or whatever, that we should be reading soon? Like I know you mentioned Fly the Puffin that comes out tomorrow, but do you have any other ones?
Well, so it's not a new release, like it was released a month or two ago, but there's a book called Starfish by Lisa Phipps. And it's a middle grade book, and it's about a girl who's overweight. And it's also, I think, going to win all the awards next year. It's really, really good. There's a book coming out. I don't know if you can still consider August in the summer, but
I mean,
technically, there's a book. It's a YA book called In the Wild Light by Jeff Zentner. That for high schoolers.
I know his name. Did he do the Happy or the
he did Serpent King.
Okay.
And there was some midnight showing. Is about two girls in a radio show. I'm horrible at coming up.
Oh, yes, the midnight showing of Raina, something like that. I know.
And he did another one. I was able to read an advanced reader's copy of In the Wild Light, and it's probably the best book I've ever read.
Really?
And best book.
Into the Wild Light.
In the Wild Light by Jeff Zentner. Comes out August 10th, I believe, or August, sometime early August. Allergic is good. It's been out for a couple of months, but Allergic is a graphic novel for middle grades. And then there's a new Ellen O book called Junie Kim, Finding Junie Kim, that I love Ellen O. So I recommend that. It's coming out, I think May 11th, either May 4th or May 11th. It'll be out also. So I recommend anything by Ellen O. So it's sure to be a great book.
Gotcha. Okay. So we have some good things to look forward to this summer, and I know like schools will be closed, but we're open. We're doing our summer reading program. So come in and we can, even if you have like a list of books, send that to me and I can be like, hey, these are the ones that Miss Jones recommends. So here they are, that kind of thing. Okay, cool. So, yeah, I mean, that's really all the questions I had today. I wanted to like chat with you about all of your amazing accolades and all the books that you love to read. Do you have anything else that you want to say or anything?
Well, I just wanted to thank the Livingston Parish Public Library for everything that y'all do for our schools. In case people are not aware, you offer every student an e-card number that they can use for their student card number so that they can access everything, all the databases and ebooks and comics and movies electronically. And as someone who is a school librarian who can't afford to have all the ebooks and the audiobooks in my library, I'm very grateful that I get to recommend the public library that we have that partnership. So I just want to say thank you to LP Library.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is what we love to do. We would love to like do more in the schools. I know, like this past year or so, more than a year, has been kind of hard to like get into the schools and really like do more things, but we'll get there. But yeah, I think we started the e-cards maybe in 2019. It's been a
I
few
think
years
so.
now. Yeah, and we try to give everybody and like every student, every teacher an e-card, and they can access it from anywhere, all those digital resources. And we try to offer a lot, like we have like Hoopla, cloud library, we have a comics database, we have lots of different things. And it's not just books, there's like movies, music. I know that like I see on Hoopla they have the new Taylor Swift like folklore, now they have Evermore, and I'm like, that's cool.
There's a lot
Yeah,
of new music and stuff that you can
yeah,
download.
yeah.
I download Hamilton soundtrack.
I did the same thing on Hoopla. Yes. Oh, I love
Uh,
Hamilton. Yeah, so I mean, hey, this is why we're here. This is what we want to do and help out everybody, and this is why we're here. This is what we're doing.
well,
Yeah.
we
So we love
appreciate it.
it. Yes. Well, and we appreciate librarians letting us come in and, like connect with the students and like, do all what we can. So it's amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today. This is so fun. I love, as always, talking about books, and I'm sure you do too. I feel like we're kindred spirits. Um, okay, well, thank you for watching, everybody. Stay tuned. The rest of this summer, we're going to be having more book talks on middle grade YA books coming out. So stay tuned for that. And until next time, happy reading.
Bye, everybody.